7:01, welcome to the Newmarket Energy and Environment Advisory Committee meeting of March 27th. We obviously do not have a quorum here tonight, myself and Patrick. I did hear from a number of other people who are either sick or working, unable to attend. So we can't make any formal decisions, but we can certainly discuss and at least come to a consensus on things if we need to come to a consensus, and then we can bring it back to the full committee at the next meeting that everybody's here and make formal decisions then, or call another meeting in between to do that. So, that being said, I'll open it for public forum. Another item, I will close public session at 7:02. We will skip acceptance of minutes. We don't have a quorum here. Community power update, I'll give just Patrick a quick update on that. So basically what this is, at the end of January, Eversource sent out a note to all people and to the residents of town saying you're going to be switched over to Newmarket Community Power. They basically sent out 4,037 emails. And at that point in time, they started keeping statistics of people that called in and said, I want to opt out, or people that were called in and said, I want to opt in, or if I want to change whatever. And so that's what these figures represent. As of February 27th, when they actually rolled people over and enrolled them, there were 3,921 people that were defaulted into Newmarket Community Power Basic. 67 people had opted in to the program, 42 people had opted out, and 7 people had opted up, okay, at the start of the actual start of the program. Okay. The latest statistics that I have are as of March 12th, and these are the figures. And so between the time that people were defaulted in or enrolled, the end of February, they actually started enrolling people, through March 12th, this is the figures. We had 5 people that have moved out of the default basic. Basically what that is 4 people had opted out and 1 person had opted up into clean energy, and we had 6 people that opted in. I'm sorry, 5 people. Yeah, 6 people that opted in during that period. So bottom line is we haven't really lost anybody. We actually had a net gain of 1 person, so knock on wood. And the similar results evidently on other towns, that is Durham, that's going live, and Stratham is very small, so it's kind of hard to see that. But knock on wood, this program will be successful, and we shall see what happens after the first couple of bills go out. By and large, there's overall for community power, very few people are dropping out now. So. Next item, any questions? Next item on that is Stratford Regional. I'm just going to talk about some potential guests that we might have.
Thank you for having me. So tonight I have just a short agenda item.
Can you talk up a little louder?
Yeah, I have a short agenda item. Just want to go over some ideas about who we could potentially have present at the next couple of meetings to kind of fill in some of the gaps, data gaps in that outline that you've all put together. So I have some notes here on, which sections of your outline they might speak to. So I can just kind of go one by one, and then at the end, maybe we can talk about which folks you might like to hear from, and then we'll think about how we can get input from the rest of the group. So the first entity that I thought of was Clean Energy New Hampshire. One of our commissioners, Katrin Casper, is actually the energy circuit rider for the Seacoast region. So she works for them. And there are a couple other folks there that might be good speakers. Sam Evans-Brown, who's their executive director, and then Chris Skoglund, who is their director of energy transitions, and he actually teaches at UNH, and 2 of our interns have classes with him. Fun little fact. But some potential discussion points, some of these speakers could talk about the circuit rider program that Katrin runs. They also provide small business technical assistance, and then also some support with potential policy initiatives. So they could speak to those items which are related to section 5.2B in your outline, the town energy generation projects. Yeah.
Policy initiatives, can you expand upon that a little bit?
Policy initiatives, so I'm thinking here more on the local level, so in some portions of your outline you mentioned some updates to maybe the site and subdivision regulations and requirements for developers and things like that. And that's something that I think Katrin could speak to, what that actually might look like, what those initiatives might look like.
That would be
Sound like
good,
a-
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think there's a lot, Katrin is really working for our community, so it would be good to kind of have a better grasp of what services they provide, and also, some guidance on potential policy items.
For the technical assistance that they provide to small businesses, is that like technical assistance in implementing energy efficiency projects?
Yeah, I took a quick look at their website, and I think it is support in getting like energy generation, so solar for small businesses, and things like that, and sourcing funding for that.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
So,
Alright.
that's a good point. I think that would be very valuable for something
Yes. Where we would be
how
considering,
energy efficiencies and things like that.
because there are some elements too of like outreach and education, and having some resources to point to for small businesses, I think would be definitely beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's part of the work they do too, is supporting that outreach and providing those resources, so I can add that to the discussion list. So the next group is, of course, Community Power Coalition New Hampshire. If you feel it would be beneficial having them do a program overview, member benefits, I know that you're kind of working with them right now, so.
Yeah, probably not, because we're already a member of Community Power, so.
Yeah.
Henry Sargent talked to us several times, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've had multiple hearings with them already.
yeah, I just wanted to include them because I know you're kind of in the process, so. All right, the next one is Eversource and New Hampshire Saves as part of that. So New Hampshire Saves, as you might know, is sort of an energy efficiency, supporting business, municipalities, and residential, different private initiatives and potential funding or programs that could be used to help businesses, municipalities, and residents. So someone I thought of from this group would be Frank Melanson. So he works for Eversource, but he's also part of the New Hampshire Saves program, so he could potentially not only speak to like the town energy profile with Eversource data, but also what programs are available to the community through New Hampshire Saves.
And that would be like programs that are not just available to municipal
Right.
operations, but like just everybody in general.
Yeah, like weatherization for your house and different things like that.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a duplicate of the clean energy stuff?
Yeah, those are two different programs. So, yeah, maybe some coordination there and ensuring they're not going over the same things, but I know that New Hampshire Saves like runs some of those programs for residents. So yeah, it wouldn't be a duplication.
Yeah, do you, Patrick, does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. Yeah, so I think that would speak well to section 4 in your outline, which is the town energy profile, and then also 5.1, which goes over efficiency and different incentives. So that'd be a good addition. And then the next one is the NHDES Granite State Clean Cities Coalition. So this coalition, they have some great like statistics dashboard of the different work that they've done in the state, and they can speak to fuel saving and emissions reduction strategies, which I know you have a transportation section in here, which I'm thinking about, may fit better in the transportation chapter, but I think still an opportunity to get expertise on that regardless of where that section ends up going. And they do have funding programs for municipal fleets and greenhouse gas emissions reductions projects. So they could speak to those funding opportunities as well.
Let me just be clear, I'll throw something out here.
Yeah.
So the master plan that we're gonna come up with, basically is, this is where we are and this is where we aspire to, right?
Yes.
I don't know, getting into funding at this point, is that beyond where we should be?
I think my vision for the ultimate end product, there will be an entire chapter dedicated to implementation, and I think the most important part of that for me is identifying what those resources are for you to implement these actions, which includes funding. And certainly that's research I can do on my own, and I write a lot of grants, so I know where a lot of funding is, but it's always good to share that knowledge.
Okay, so it's identifying resources to help us meet the goals that we...
Yeah, it's not
Yes.
necessarily securing the funding,
Right.
but
Yeah, okay,
identifying
that's what I was kind of thinking.
this type of action is eligible for funding from these sources. So it's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
part of that implementation chapter is going to have is it a matrix or a
Yeah.
table to pull action items from the chapters and kind of aggregate all that information in, and including potential funding sources would be a piece of each of those action items.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just help guide us in getting through the actual implementation.
So it's kind of just like click and go. You don't have to look for all of those opportunities when the time comes to start working on those strategies that you've outlined so well here.
I think the Clean Cities Coalition, the gentleman from that, I think that would be beneficial, even if it's transportation focused. There's an energy element to that would be worth discussing here and with transportation committee, future transportation committee group as well.
Yeah. Is there any update on, is that committee formed yet?
Has not been formed yet, but it is in the very near future.
In the works.
In the works.
Yeah, so maybe this would be a good one to kind of have like a joint, or at least advertise that this is.
It could
going
potentially
on.
be yeah. Maybe that's not in the list of ones that we would schedule for the next meeting or two, but maybe
Yeah.
slightly further out.
Yeah, once Colin gets started on the transportation chapter, we can all kind of work together on that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the next one is, just the State Department of Energy. They have a ton of staff there that could be useful in providing some expertise. And I was thinking, this may be another speaker that could speak to Section 4, the town energy profile, and also kind of providing that context of what does the regional energy profile look like, and also the state, and how does the town's goals and objectives align with state initiatives. So that was my thought there. I didn't put a name of a speaker down because I would have to find the right one, and there's a lot of them, a lot of folks who work there. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll nail down the best person for that.
Certainly be good to have like a regional type look at things and not just Newmarket, you know.
Yeah.
'cause-
Yeah, and I think Clean Energy New Hampshire could provide some of that, because they do, work in the Seacoast region. So that might be a question of, me checking in with Katrin to see what kind of information she could provide there. And then, if it feels like a better fit, reaching out to the Department of Energy. And then the last group of speakers, Lindsay was thinking someone who's gone through this process before recently of creating an energy chapter, so brainstorming some ideas. I think Jackson Kaspari in Dover, he's their resilience manager. We work really closely together. And he just finished the citywide resilience plan, which had a really heavy energy focus. So I think he would be a good person to kind of tap into, thinking about, is there any advice and guidance he can provide, and takeaways from that process. So that would be a good one. And then Jaffrey updated their energy chapter a couple years ago, and one of my colleagues at SRPC has worked with Joanne Carr, who is Jaffrey's Planning and Economic Development Director, and suggested that she would be a really good person to speak to that as well.
I think it would be great to hear from other municipalities, what they do and what issues they run into, and give us some stuff that they're doing that we haven't thought about.
I have a question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, Autumn. It's Autumn, right?
Yes.
Has any town or city in New Hampshire changed their building code as far as, mandating certain kinds of heating or cooling infrastructure in the house, or HVAC, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah. I think actually Dover, I don't know which part of their land use regulations it sits in, but I think they did, I think for the downtown, the business district, they have some requirements for, building green buildings, essentially. But I don't know the legality of requiring it versus suggesting it, so that would be.
Because I know other states are doing it.
Yeah.
Other states are actually putting it into their building codes. I think it's both Maine and Mass that might have the heat pump requirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something for me to check, because you can.
And I do notice with our larger developers, so like we have two permitted apartment building complexes that one was just approved and one they just started working on over here. And both of those plan to heat and cool their buildings with air source heat pumps. And that wasn't anything we asked about, they just are doing that. I think it's because it's the most effective way to heat and cool a building.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the recent subdivisions that have, and even houses that are being built right now in those subdivisions, are heating with what I would call traditional fuel burning types of systems. So I'm not sure it'd be interesting to hear, because why, what's the change there? I'm guessing a landlord's more concerned to what their power bills are gonna be, as opposed to a developer's more concerned to the price of the house.
Right.
I'm guessing, I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely something to investigate further. I know there's something in Dover's regs, so that's something I can talk to Jackson about too, if he has any guidance on that. And yeah, I'm wondering what the enabling legislation is for that, because like I'm thinking in terms of stormwater, a lot of times you can recommend that something is done to the maximum extent practicable, but can't necessarily require it. So, yeah, figuring out where the teeth lie in that.
Can we offer researchers in Newmarket, in the planning board, can they say, you can't make them put in a heat pump versus oil heat, right? But are there incentives that you can?
Not that I'm aware of, no. We don't have anything in our code. I think that we'd have to make a code change to do that. We'd have to actually pass an ordinance or and if Jackson's done any research on that, that would be helpful because we're in New Hampshire, that might be difficult to do. Like, I don't know if the state would get upset about that or take a position on that that's against making those kinds of code changes. But there's two things I'm thinking of. One, it goes along with our idea of reducing greenhouse gases, but also, or climate, carbon in the atmosphere. But the other thing is that, so we're in the community power business. We want our people to use electricity to heat their homes because that's better for them actually as ratepayers. Because now that we're reducing their rates and providing more stability for their rates, as opposed to being stuck in an oil or propane situation where there's a lot more volatility on your price.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to the benefit of our citizens to make sure that their homes are set up that way. It's just getting the developers to see it that way, I would say. Because again, it's more of a price point thing, I'm thinking, there for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's cheaper to, might be significantly cheaper for them to still put in a propane or an oil system.
I would think, but
Just from
but-
probably, but I think those prices are getting more competitive all the time. I just don't know exactly where they are, but it'd be interesting to hear what if Jackson has any thoughts on that or anyone else is doing anything on that front.
Yeah, I'll definitely add that to the list. I'll incorporate it into my research for the chapter. So it sounds like what's risen to the top here is speaker from Clean Energy New Hampshire, speaker from Eversource/New Hampshire Saves, and or Department of Energy, and then the Granite State Clean Cities Coalition and a municipal speaker. So I think, I guess I'll ask you first, would you like to discuss this with the rest of the group before I start reaching out?
here's what, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay, and can't make any formal decisions here, but
Right.
you've got Team 4, right? Can you set up these meetings with these people and have them present to Team 4? And then we'll tell the committee here, go to this meeting, as opposed to, if you wait for us, I don't know how that's going to
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and I think that will work for the process we have.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense, and that way also transportation and community facilities is included. Yeah. So I'll work on.
And that'll be easier for you, I think, you to coordinate it, what times, Jackson or, these people are available.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. So I'll work on coordinating that, and that would likely occur in late April and then also in May, depending on how many speakers respond with a yes.
Mhm.
Great, so that all sounds good. And just for your general knowledge, right now, I'm still working through your outline and figuring out where pieces may go best. A lot of it is some really great strategies that you've developed, so we kind of got a good start on the sort of implementation section. And then really the rest of it is just me filling out those data gaps. So I'll be working on that over the next couple of months and provide updates as I
So
go.
when does Team 4 meet again, and what do you have in mind?
We don't have formal meetings for all of the Team 4 coverage. We've had, I think, maybe two meetings to discuss the community facilities chapter and information that we have on that, but we haven't had the full Team 4 together for other discussion of other chapters yet. So we don't have regularly scheduled. It's
Okay.
kind of an as needed, and we can work on when would work best to get these meetings.
Yeah, and also for your knowledge, we're onboarding a new project manager, Angie Cleveland. My co-manager is leaving SRPC, but we've already brought someone on board that our executive director has worked with in the past. She's great. Her name's Carrie Deers. She used to work as the executive director at Nashville Regional Planning, so she's got a ton of expertise. We're excited to have her on board, so we're in a little bit of a transition phase here, and still getting her caught up to speed. But I think this is a good time to kind of rally Team 4 and think about how the other chapters in Team 4 are coordinating with each other, so.
Questions, comments?
No,
Oh,
for me.
sounds good.
Thank you all, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Autumn.
Next item, other business, anything else? Yeah? Quick meeting, guys. All right, our next meeting is like April 24th, but I think we'll poll the group and see, okay. So, and especially if you guys are gonna have some stuff going on in April, whatever. Again, what I suggest the group is whoever can attend those meetings, attend, and then bring it back to the committee.
Okay, and the Team 4 meetings, we've been having teams, just virtual meetings to have those discussions. They're not
Yeah.
full in person, just so you are aware of that too. Sometimes it's a little easier to attend or fit into a schedule.
Yeah, okay. Just, all right, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
All right.
Sorry to drag you out here.
Thank you, Autumn.
Thank you, Anna.